How's it going, everybody? Paul Brecht with Hawai'i Sports Radio Network. Today, joined by Deen Agustin, an NFLPA certified agent since 2023, guy who works for The Standard, a pretty cool company that we'll get into a little bit later. Someone who is native Hawaiian, has Filipino ties, some Mexican ties in there, I believe, as well. Very proud of his heritage as well, though he is from the Bay Area. We love him quite a bit. Deen, thank you so much for joining me today, taking some time out of your day and chatting with us.
Yeah, of course. What's up, Paul? What's up, everyone? Really appreciate your time. It's a perfect day here in San Francisco, so I couldn't ask for a better day to do this.
I love that. I won't keep you too long so you can go enjoy that beautiful day, but there's plenty that I want to get into, being that it's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. It's something that is near and dear to your heart. You obviously are the agent of Lions draft pick Sione Vaki. Pretty cool story between you two getting together and representing for these Polynesian folk here in the islands and elsewhere as well. I want to start at the very beginning, though, as I think you've got a pretty cool story of becoming an agent, and I'm curious how the inspiration came to be. What drew you into wanting to pursue that career path going forward, and maybe who inspired you, if anyone inspired you?
For sure. Yeah. So for me, at the age of like 16, I was kind of figuring out like what I wanted to do when I got to college and kind of what I want to do for my career in general. And so I was always a really big football fan, but I played for a couple years, but wrestling was always my main sport, but football was always like my main passion of what I really loved watching and everything like that. So I started to kind of look more into the business side of things of like, oh, like I like football is obviously a huge business too. It's not just a sport. Like I wonder like what kind of career paths there were. And then I've always just been like a people person. So being an agent kind of was something that really gravitated towards me and everything. So I kind of started to do my research around then. Made a whole 7-year plan when I was 16 years old on how I was going to get there and how I was going to become an agent. So it's been like a real full circle moment, I guess, in the last year for sure. But yeah, I guess growing up too, there really like wasn't really anyone who I could look up to because there is really no other Pacific Islander or Asian American even agents out there. So I kind of figured like why not be the first one or why not be one of the first at least. So that's something I always really wanted to do, especially because I was like growing up watching like Troy Polamalu or Haloti Ngata and guys like that. It was always just really interesting to me because there's always been a lot of Polynesians in the NFL. Like they're always the backbone in the NFL, really. Like they're in the trenches, they're flashy players too, sometimes, like with Troy, especially. So they play with a lot of heart and everything, and everyone in the culture knows that we wear our hearts on our sleeves. And so that was something that I really want to do and be able to represent for the culture because there was no one on the business side helping the culture out in that way. So I wanted to be able to put my stamp on it.
I think that's incredibly cool. You're a trailblazer in a type of way. We talk all the time on Wake Up in the Den with Kule Agbayani on our station about representation and how important it can be to inspire even the next generation and how somebody needs to put their foot in. I will ask, were you a fan of a certain team growing up, or was it more just a draw to certain players? I know that's something that has kind of been a shift lately as well, where some young people are drawn more to players than teams. Were you a guy who was drawn more to players than teams, or did you have a team growing up?
So funnily enough, like I feel like when I was a young kid, I didn't really have a team too much, but as I was playing Madden more and more, Patriots were always really good at that time. So I became a Patriots fan because of that, and then obviously became Tom Brady fan more than anything. Still root for the Patriots a little bit here and there, but they've even had some Polynesian greats, and they have a lot of Polynesians on the team right now. So I would say right now at the state in my career, I'm rooting for everybody Polynesian pretty much. But yeah, so it's been a fun ride. But I think my days as like a full just fan have kind of dissipated just based on my career too, obviously. But yeah.
That's the, I don't want to say toughest part of growing up, but that is a big part of growing up and starting to work in the sports industry in general, is the evaporation of fandom and much more just for
Yeah.
the people within sports. So I do want to get a little bit back on track here, where we talk about your process and your schooling. You talked about how you developed a plan kind of at 16 to pursue this goal and to be that trailblazer. I'm curious about what that path was. I know you have a couple of degrees under your belt, and I know in the agency world and just in the world in general, you need to be a good networker. How did you go about getting to where you are now as a certified agent?
Yeah, so for me, I went to San Francisco State for my bachelor's degree, and in my sophomore year there, even maybe even my spring semester of my freshman year, I got in contact with the University of San Francisco Sport Management Program people, and they would actually let me go and sit in on a couple classes as a freshman, as a college freshman in undergrad. So I wanted to make sure that I was really building that relationship because I knew that I wanted to go there for grad school. And it really paid off for me because when I was applying, about a week after I applied to grad school, they let me know that they were going to admit me. So I think the work definitely paid off, and I will say networking in this industry especially matters probably more than just about everything. So I think that definitely helped me a lot, and it helped me land my job that I'm at now as well too.
And that's exactly where I wanted to go next as well, where you work your tail off throughout college. Obviously, when you get accepted a week after, it's just pretty good. Afterwards, from graduating, you go on. Now you work at the Standard, which is a pretty interesting agency, especially one that I think would pique the interest of the people here in Hawaii. Would you mind taking a moment to maybe explain what the company stands for and how'd you come to be involved with the Standard?
Of course, yeah. So a little bit about the company as a whole. So we're the Standard. We specifically like to work in like Polynesian communities and Native Hawaiian communities, as well as just underrepresented groups as a whole. We do have a ton of Hawaii ties. Two of our co-founders, Tautua Reed and Koomisi, both have Native Hawaiian blood as well, and both have lived in Hawaii for a bit. Tautua Reed still does live over there back and forth. He's also the manager of the Common Kings too, and a ton of other the Island Reggae acts. So definitely got a lot of ties when it comes to that stuff. And then for our parent company is actually called the Kinoole Foundation. What they do is they do a lot of give back projects in Native Hawaiian communities and donating just a ton of money and helping a lot of service as well throughout the community and to really give back. So for us, for sure, we put a heavy emphasis on wanting to uplift our community and really just give back. And that's where it kind of comes in with a lot of our clients. I would say probably majority of them do come from Polynesian backgrounds as well. And we actually represent the number one Hawaii prospect right now in Jaren Kiawe Sungapula over at Campbell High School. So yeah, it's exciting for sure.
We've had Jaron on a couple of our broadcasts for OIA football throughout the years that I've been here at the station, and he's an incredibly talented player. Another really talented player that you've gotten a chance to work with, I believe your first client, Sione Vaki, a guy who was drafted by the Detroit Lions this year, and somebody who also shares the Polynesian background. What does it mean to work with, Sione? And also, how did you two come to be a duo here? How did you end up working with him?
Yeah, so Sione was actually a part of the company. We represented him throughout his college days at the University of Utah. So we've had connections with him there, and then we still wanted to make sure we did right by him and did a full formal pitch process when we wanted to welcome him to the NFL side of the business. So we did that, and that was really the first time I was able to get a lot of FaceTime with him. And me and him clicked right away because just like me, he's a Bay Area kid. We're both Polynesians, and we're both going into our rookie years in the NFL, so to speak. And it was just a really poetic moment, especially too with him getting drafted to Detroit, and their color just so happened to be Honolulu blue. So it's really, really even more like a storybook moment for sure. So Sione is probably the best first client anyone could ever ask for. Does nothing but work hard and really just super humble and grateful for everything. But yeah, he's awesome and definitely you'll see a lot of T's thrown up by him this year when he's scoring all those touchdowns.
Man, I love that. You got me excited over here. I know we have a ton of Detroit Lion fans here in Honolulu and on Oahu in general. I also want to bring up as well, because I think it's important. You were the youngest agent to have a client drafted this year. How much pride do you take in being able to kind of break into this industry at this age, especially representing your culture and your background?
Yeah, I definitely take a ton of pride in it for sure because I'm someone who likes to prove a lot of people wrong. And going through my career, especially in the early stages, had a lot of people try to tell me you're never going to get a client in your first year, especially not one who gets drafted, especially not one who gets drafted in the fourth round. And so I heard a lot of that. So it was definitely a nice moment to be able to silence a lot of the naysayers and the doubters out there. But yeah, I wouldn't, more than anything though, I wouldn't be able to do it without my team and the standard giving me a shot to be able to represent Sione and the company in a way that's positive to the culture and just really helpful. I just wouldn't be able to do it without them more than anything. They took a chance on me for sure. Not many companies, I don't think any agency out there would be willing to give a 24-year-old kid who just graduated grad school the shot that they gave me. So I'm forever indebted and grateful to them for that for sure.
And we're talking to Deen Agustin, an NFLPA certified agent working for the Standard. And Dean, I'm taking up a ton of your time, but it's just incredibly interesting to hear about it. I was curious about this process and going through kind of, like you said, it's your rookie year as well. What were some of the nerves? Were there some nerves leading up to the draft as well, working with Sione and kind of your first go round at the big league level per se? What were the nerves like on your side, having to kind of deal with it as a agent?
Mhm. So it's more just like you're learning on the fly, especially in our rookie year. This is essentially our first year as an agency working on the NFL side of the business as well too. So we've been pretty established in the NIL world where it comes to like the high school and college space, but Sione was our first NFL client. And so obviously super grateful to him too for taking the chance on us to be able to represent him for his first year. But yeah, I would say the nerves probably came more just like on actual draft day because it's the most unpredictable event in sports, really. Like you never know. There's guys who like projected way later go a lot earlier, and guys projected a lot earlier who end up falling to the seventh round or even undrafted. So it's just a super unpredictable process. And then especially when there's certain teams who show a lot of interest and then they go another direction, and then it's like, okay, well now it's a whole chain reaction of things. Like, okay, who's going to pick them now? And so on draft day on that Saturday, it was definitely a little bit of a hectic process for sure. But it's a matter of just kind of believing in what you know and kind of just putting the pieces together. I believe it was on the first day of the draft. Bill Belichick pretty much said, the teams are going to tell you who you're going to draft, who they're going to draft. It's a matter of you just putting the pieces together. And so it was a lot of that over those 3 days. And I would say moments before Sione got picked by the Lions, I turned to my boss and a couple of my coworkers and I told them, Detroit is an extremely aggressive team. They traded up for every single one of their draft picks. We know they really like Sione. It won't surprise me if they come up and take him. And moments later, we hear screaming from the other side of the Airbnb, and Sione and his whole family are going crazy. So it was like a crazy moment for sure. It was like a movie, pretty much. So
I was gonna
yeah, it
say,
was all the nerves settled after that point.
I gotta say that's got to be a dream come true for everyone involved.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
the first agent client Polynesian duo in NFL history, just in a lot of ways, a historic partnership. And as you go forward, obviously, it won't be your rookie year forever. And hopefully, this is an inspiration for other kids from Asian American, Pacific Islander descent uh, to pursue this career. And if those kids happen to be listening here, what would you say to maybe that 16-year-old version of you who first put together that plan? Did you follow it exactly to a T like you did back in that day, or were there some tweaks that you'd like to go back and tell yourself?
I would say if I was just talking to my 16-year-old self, it's just like keep the main thing, and don't let anybody try to like throw you off the path that you know that you're supposed to be on. Like if you really believe that you're going to go down this path of being an agent, don't let someone try to throw you off because it's a hard career to get into. Like if you really put your head down and you work, then good things will come out of it for sure. You'll reap the rewards, no doubt. And to any other Asian American Pacific Islander kid out there listening to this, would love to talk to you, give you any advice, and I think in the summer we might be looking for interns too. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, definitely want to help inspire the path of kids coming up for sure. Not every athlete or football player is going to make it to the league, and we know that. And so there's other ways that you can make it to the NFL, and you can do that by using your brain, not just your body as well too. So yeah, would love to help out the youth in any way possible.
Dean, I cannot thank you enough for your time. One more time, Deen Agustin, an NFLPA certified agent working for the Standard, and one of the best guys you're going to get a chance to interact with. I appreciate all your time today.
Appreciate the time, Paul. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Chat soon. Bye.